Let's take a look at the CAD tool WORDSCOPE. Is it worth it? Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. I hope you enjoyed the expert interviews throughout Knowledge November. Now we are back with regular scheduling, meaning talking about concepts of freelancing, language translation, doing tool reviews. And speaking of that, today is exactly that. We do a tool review of the CAD tool WORDSCOPE. WORDSCOPE kindly reached out to me and asked whether I would like to test their tool and see what I think. And of course, I always like to do that. And how I like to make these videos is just going in blind, because my main pet peeve is translation tools that hinder your productivity, because you have to learn first a complicated tool and the whole installation process. And so I definitely don't want a tool that I have to read instructions first. So I want to go into a tool and just figure it out myself. And ideally it should be, I should be able to figure it out at first glance. That's how I imagine the software should look like nowadays. So I did exactly that with WORDSCOPE. I filmed it last night. I'm going to show you the demo in a second. But first, a few selling points of this tool. What I really like is that it's there is no hassle about installing, downloading, these huge files that some tools are that you have to clutter your PC with. None of that, because it's web-based. So you just open the website, you log in, and you're in the browser working. You have access to huge amounts of terminology, publicly available terminology glossaries from, worldwide institutions, European institutions. You have empty implementation like DeepL Pro, etc. And you have a ChatGPT for translators feature, which is very interesting. I haven't used that before in any other tool. So I was excited to try it out. And WORDSCOPE kindly offered a promotion code for you guys. So if you are in the market for a very lean CAD tool, that is gonna boost your productivity and give you more freedom, more free time, because it just helps you being faster in your job. So make sure to scroll down to the description, click the link, and if you want to try it out, go for it. Use my code FLVERSE, so for Freelanceverse, FLVerse for 40% off. It's an amazing deal, so make sure to not miss it. It's valid for 3 months after this video goes live, so even if you see this a bit later, you still have time to go for it. Let me show you the tool. So this is what WORDSCOPE looks like. I'm just on the website, and the cool thing, as I said in the intro about this tool, is that it's web-based, so there's nothing to install. It's you're in the browser, you sign in, and you can start right away. As you can see, I have a gold subscription until the end of the year. That's for the purposes of this video. So thank you so much to WORDSCOPE for partnering with me on that. And I'm really excited to get into it. So I have a text prepared that I will import into the tool and just explore it together with you guys. I think that's the most fun. So let's do that. Test Freelanceverse. Let's choose English US, and I'm going to translate it into German for Switzerland. You can even choose a subject. Oh, that's cool. It's telecommunication, travel, tourism. I mean, it's kind of history. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to choose history, archaeology. Upload files. So I'm going to choose the file now. There we are. The origin of language is uploaded. Now I have a big analyze button. I assume that's the next thing to do. So let's do that. Analyzing. Okay, volume analysis, 15% saving on word count. This project requires 59.1 work minutes, calculation based on 2,500 words per day. For your information, the average cost of this translation is 36 to 54 euros. Okay, really cool. So it gives me an estimation of the time that I spent on the job. I really like that, actually. 15% saving on word count, okay, because the total word count is 362 and number of words to be translated is 308. You only need to translate this number of weighted words. The translation of the other words will be extracted from the translation memories. You will also receive suggestions from machine translation engines. Okay, it's really cool. It really it does the whole analysis that I used to do in a translation agency when I used to work there. I used to analyze jobs before I sent them to freelancers, and this has just been done in literally a click. So that's first impression, very good. Let's see what it looks like. Open job. Hello, Adrian, you have worked on one project this month. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. So we have the
the editor here. So at first glance, it looks like a standard editor that we are used to from other CAD tools. So on the left side, we have the source text, right side, we have the target text, and it has been segmented very nicely into different sentences. I get a notification up here, translate each sentence and double click on any suggestion to select it. Accept the suggestion or modify it according to your preferences and click save to confirm. At any time, you can reopen any sentences to correct it. Never translate the same sentence twice. Please check the help to learn how to save and reuse your translations in other projects. Okay, I really like that. It gives me a little reminder up here of how to actually do things. I can't click that away, I guess. No, I can't click that away. I would like to be able to click that away, but I can just scroll down, that's fine. So then I have the title here, and on the right side, we can see a DeepL Pro, a Google Translate, and an Amazon Translate machine translation input. So it's already pre-translated. I assume it is taken from DeepL, probably from the first option, because I know that in the settings, I think we can rearrange that and we can add more machine translation engines here. Then we have track changes. Oh, that's actually quite cool. I think I know. Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly move one segment ahead, because in the title, all three machine translation engines translated it the same. But the next segment, you can see that DeepL Pro is my preferred one. So the translation is sourced from DeepL Pro, and then you can see how the other machine translation engines translate it differently. So it's almost like the track changes in Word, but you can see what differences it makes. Actually really cool. Then you have a TM search. Obviously, I don't have a TM attached here because I just created this out of thin air. It's not from an actual client. But if you had this from a client, or you had already a TM prepared, then you could search here. And there's also a glossary term. Oh yeah, there are many different glossaries. We will see that in the settings, I think, where you can draw from. Oh, that's nice. It's a nice UI feature when the whole both sides of the window adjust itself. That's really nice. So there are different glossaries. For example, the IATE, that's the EU's multilingual term base. It's very popular in Europe, and usually these term bases are some of them are quite expensive to use. So it's great that this is all included in the subscription you will have with WORDSCOPE. So let's quickly look at the settings before we move on. Project settings. So here you can see active translation memories and glossaries. WORDSCOPE global terminology, WORDSCOPE cloud TM. So, that's nice. A cloud TM, that's actually, you can not only search in your TMs, but in TMs from the web, from the internet. So that's like a public TM. That's very nice. Just gonna enable everything now. Let's go to machine translation. My memory, DeepL Pro, Traded. Okay, and then you can, see. Okay, so if I want to Tradu it as my first choice, I can put it at the top, and then DeepL, Google. You can set which is your priority and which should be shown below with track changes. In the terminology, you can see, you can see a long list of term bases from the United Nations, University of Ghent, Switzerland. The term there. Okay, I know this one. ISO standards. Wow, that's huge, because you always have to go on the ISO website and look up all the standards there. But if it's already implemented, you can just look up the name of the German standards. Very nice. WHO, EU. Okay, this is really cool. And they're all enabled by default, so you don't have to change anything. And I think that's it for now. Yeah, let's close that up. Now let's look at the actual translation interface. So we have the source text, we have language is highlighted in yellow, and it says Sprache. That's of course correct. I wonder where it gets this from then. I guess from the glossary. Yeah, it gets it from the glossary, from the Health on the Net Foundation. And it's just Sprache, that's okay, der Ursprung der Sprache. Yeah, it can be translated like that. Yeah, it's quite literal. You could also do something a bit more creative. where does language come from, woher kommt die Sprache, something like that. But for now, let's just save it, because then it goes into our TM, and we see here a blue bar that says translated. Very nice. This little arrow would copy the source to target. Sometimes that's quite useful. If you do that, then the source comes in and it becomes blue and white on the side. I'm just gonna Ctrl Z. Ctrl Z works as well to revert your last change. The origin of language is one of the most fascinating and debated questions in human history. Der Ursprung der Sprache ist eine der faszinierendsten und am meisten diskutierten Fragen der Menschheitsgeschichte. Yeah, okay. There might be something to change. Like, this is quite literal, but it's okay. It's okay. Oh, okay. I just highlighted a word, and then I get a button here, synonyms. I didn't know about that. Let's check. Wow. Okay. Nice. So I just highlighted faszinierend. I clicked synonym, and now I get a lot of synonyms. Oh, that's really cool. Let's look with Sprache as well. Ausdrucksform, Sprechform, Sprache. Okay, nice. Okay, and I get also a button cloud. I think that is human history. Yeah, if I highlight it in the source and I click cloud. Okay, so I get a window that searches in WORDSCOPE's. I guess in WORDSCOPE's terminology. You can search on Wikipedia as well for human history. You can search on Lingui, human history, Menschheitsgeschichte, word reference. You can search on Google even, just what comes up for human history. And Google Images. Wow, it's actually really cool. Okay, so that's like the cloud is an overall search tool that searches Google, Lingui, Wikipedia. So if you have a concept, let's search a concept like fossil record, for example. Maybe you don't know what fossil record is. What's a fossil record? Let's go to Wikipedia. A fossil record is the international peer-reviewed paleontological journal of the museum. That's not what I mean. History of life as documented by fossils. Okay, Google Images, you will get a bunch of fossils. Really cool. I like that. That's a lot to play around. And yeah, so the rest is pretty straightforward. Once you click save, it goes into the translation memory and it's confirmed. But now let's look into the ChatGPT for translators feature, because that's something that really puts WORDSCOPE apart from other CAT tools, and I'm very curious about that. So let's click, for example, der Ursprung der Sprache. Let's highlight it and click on ChatGPT and see what happens. Okay, so it takes Ursprung der Sprache in. Hello, Adrian. I can help you translate or search for information in any field. I can also answer any questions or just chat with you. So there are different things you can do. You can chat directly, as in, using it as a ChatGPT LLM, or you have predefined prompts here. Clear, definition, explain, translate, rephrase, alternative spelling, proofread, back translation, terminology, simplify, write, or more. Okay, that's, more than you would ever need. So I want to see Ursprung der Sprache. I want to rephrase that. What happens? Der Ursprung der Sprache, okay. Oh, so it takes the whole segment of here. It doesn't only take Ursprung der Sprache. It takes the whole segment and rephrases it. Instead of zählt zu den faszinierendsten und meist debattierten Fragen der Menschheitsgeschichte, it rephrases it to gehört zu den aufregendsten und am häufigsten diskutierten Mysterien der Menschheitsgeschichte. Okay, I don't really like Mysterien, but it's rephrased. It's done what it says. What if I click simplify? Woher die Sprache kommt, ist eine der spannendsten und meist diskutierten Fragen der Menschheitsgeschichte. I actually like that by far the best. That's very nice. This simplification omits complicated terms and makes the sentence as a whole more comprehensible. It definitely does. That's the explanation of what it just did, and this is a really good translation actually. So if you click copy, then it would go in. Yeah, it would immediately go into your translation field in the target. Okay, I like that. I like it a lot. And then you can also directly chat with it with the chatbot. So I would say that's a really nice translation. What I need is in French. L'origine du langage est l'une des questions les plus passionnantes et débattues de l'histoire de l'humanité. Sounds very good. I'm not a native, but that sounds like a very nice sentence. If you click clear up here, it deletes the whole thing. And you can also just open ChatGPT for translators and use, as you would, the ChatGPT large language model, like Menschheitsgeschichte, is this correct? Is spelled? Yes, Menschheitsgeschichte is correctly spelled in German. It translates to history of humankind. Is Menschheit spelled with 1 or 2 H's? Menschheit is spelled with 1 H, so the correct spelling is Menschheit. Hold on. Hold on, ChatGPT. I see 2 H's. What? Are you sure? I see 2 H's. Yes, I'm sure. In the word Menschheit, there's only 1 H. Menschheit. 2 H's. I understand the confusion, but Menschheit is indeed spelled with only 1 H. Okay, anyways, that, of course, WORDSCOPE cannot do anything about ChatGPT's problems. But yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind. It's never, never take it with, always take it with a grain of salt. You always have to do your own checks, use it with common sense, of course. Let's try another example down here, for example. So das is written in 2 words. Hold on, I have my own correction tool, and also WORDSCOPE has one apparently. Möchten Sie die Schreibweise so das verwenden in 1 word? So that's actually, yes, that's how it should be. It should be in 1 word. So let's actually check what ChatGPT would say to that. If I highlight it, does it, wait, I click clear, I delete it, I highlight it, open ChatGPT, and I say, should it be so das or so das? In diesem Satz ist sowohl so das als auch so das grammatikalisch korrekt, allerdings gibt es einen leichten Bedeutungsunterschied. So das wird häufiger verwendet. Exactly. So when it's an immediate consequence, it should be 1 word. And here it is an immediate consequence. So yes, this should be 1 word. So let's quickly look through the other ChatGPT predefined prompts that we have here on the side. Let's get Primaten and let's get the definition of that. Okay, there is no English word for Primaten. Yeah, obviously it's German, but the term Primaten in German means a species of mammals, recognized lemurs, apes, and humans as well. Okay, I wonder what explain is, if that gives another, it's probably kind of similar to definition, I would say. Yeah, again, it's longer explanation than a definition. That makes sense. But it starts the same with apes, humans, but then it also talks about social structures, capability of communication. So explain is just like an extension of definition. Translate, we know what it is. Let's look at rephrase. So if I go in the next segment, for example, and I click rephrase, then I assume it gives me 2 other solutions. Yeah, it does. It gives me 2 rephrased solutions. So for example, Wissenschaftler, scientist has been changed to Forscher, which is more like researcher. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the 2 options. I would stick with the first one, but that's a nice option. It gives you, if you're not happy with the translation, you can rephrase it, and maybe it gives you an idea, and then you can just copy the option you like straight into it. Let's look at alternatives. Let's go into the next one. So for example, Kommunikationsfähigkeit, communication skills, and I click alternatives. Let's see what happens. It gives me again 2 new solutions, and I assume, okay, so it took Kommunikationsfähigkeit out and it replaced it with an alternative, communication competency or communication assets, kind of. Okay, really cool. And then it implements it into the sentence, and then you can simply copy the sentence back in if you like this better. So I really like alternatives function. That's very cool. The spelling and proofread. I mean, I don't know how much I would use that in my translation workflow, because at the end of a translation, I anyways run it through my spell checkers and check it again. But it's still nice to have. For example, let's look at the next segment here. There are a couple of things. Since this is a text for Switzerland, right? In my settings, I have German Switzerland in my settings. So this hyphenation would not go in Switzerland. Like you would have a longer dash. Anyways, in German, you would have an end dash rather than just two hyphens. And also the 1000 separator here of 200K, just a space, doesn't really work. You would usually have an apostrophe instead. So I would assume if I click spelling that they will maybe say something about that. Okay, nice. It did change the end dash, so there's the hyphen to the longer, the Hakefiedstrich, very nicely done. But then, okay, it changed to a dot as a 1000 separator, which is used in Germany. What if this is for Switzerland? I hope it would now suggest another solution for the numbers. Okay, it still says a full stop and a space. It should be an apostrophe. Let's see what it says. Yeah, so now it corrects to the correct version. So with these small things that are very country specific, you still have to be careful. So yeah, as I said, spelling and proofread is probably not something I would use this implementation for. But the others so far were great. Let's look at back translation. I would assume that if I just go into a sentence, I click back translation, it would give me the back translation of the target, which is true, yes. And then, it even evaluates the back translation, which is very nice. Gives you things that don't correspond, things that correspond. Oh, that's a good functionality. Very nice. And a lot of LQAs, I have to do that or in transcreations, I have to do back translation, explain why it changes sometimes. And let's look at terminology. I have here a word endocluster. I have no idea what that is. Just going to click on terminology, see what happens. Okay, and large panel to see bilingual terminology. I assume here we can enlarge. Oh, wow, okay. Gives me a whole table with terminology. First, it defines this endoclast, which is a imprint of the inner surface of the cranium for researching the brain structure of previous species. Wow. Insanely in-depth. And then it gives me, I guess, terms that are related to that and their definition. This is amazing. This is a great feature. I like this terminology feature. That looks amazing. And it's also nice that you can expand the window. Then simplify, we already saw. Write, I just assume this is does something happen if I just click right here? No, yeah. I assume this is then a normal LLM function, like essay about archaeology. What happens then? Yeah, exactly. Then it writes an essay. I don't think I would use that in a translation workflow, but I mean, it's nice to have. You don't have to, if you want to use it, you don't have to exit the window and go to an LLM, so you can do it right in there. Oh, it's going to write a lot. Very nice functionalities, definitely. Okay, what I also see up here is settings, and I think that's quite cool because you can choose the language of ChatGPT. So, for example, if I have German for Switzerland here, then it would never use the SZ, for example, which doesn't exist in Switzerland, and so there is not the risk that I would accidentally copy it into my target. Then you can even choose a domain, an audience, like if you write for medical doctors, for engineers, lawyers, nurses. So it gets, it changes the register of answers, which is really cool. The style, formal, casual, academic, technical. I really like that. Poetic, literary. So if you work on a book or on a poem or a lyric, for example, you can choose that style. And you can even give instructions. So that will then be added to the prompt. So if I write here, write only as if you were addressing a 5-year-old, I'm going to put it to poetic. the audience is 6 to 12. Okay, let's change 6-year-old. All right, I'm curious what happens now. Is this saved automatically? I think so. So then we rephrase it. Now it should technically, yeah. So now it uses my prompts to write for 6-year-olds for an audience, and it says, "So little master detective, imagine if we don't have any bones or fossils that show us when humans started to speak." So that makes it quite difficult, quite tricky to figure out when language was born. So it really writes for a 6-year-old. I love that. That's brilliant. That's a really well thought out use of an LLM for translators. You can, before you start working, you can just define your domain, your audience, etc. It's really cool. So then you would go through the whole thing, translate everything, and of course you would also get, the more you translate and the more material you have, the more you would also get translation memory, of course. Now I'm just gonna confirm everything so I can check what happens, when you export it. And then let's see, project, share this project with a translator or colleague, translation, download. There we go. Download XLIF file, download project translation memory, download origin document, download translated document. There you go. I export it. Now I can open it in Word. And it should be the German version. There we go. But yeah, that's all. There you go. This is WORDSCOPE. I really enjoyed this. This was, I've heard of the tool before. That's why I had, and of course I had meetings before this video, so I had some input already, but the rest was really all just first impression, as you guys as well, and it was so intuitive and so easy. So it's definitely a tool that for beginners to use. So make sure to go in the description, click the link that leads you to WORDSCOPE, and you can try it out. You can also use my code FLVerse, Freelanceverse, for 40% discount. That's a huge amount, of course, and it's a great opportunity. So if you haven't gotten a cut tool yet for you, or if you want to change, if you find one too complicated or the tools are too big, this is a great server-based one, web-based one, I mean. Thanks again to WORDSCOPE for reaching out. This was very enjoyable, and I will definitely continue using your tool. And I see you next Monday with the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.